Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN. Tuesday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, final hour of the trading day, and we got markets continuing the trend of positive prices. Quite a relentless market across the board. Indices dramatically higher. How about the Russell? Pushing 1.7% in the green right now, up 34 points, leading the way at 2107. S&Ps right now up about 0.6%. Up 34 points at 59.81. You get the NASDAQ 100 up 0.8%, trading at 21,702, and the Dow up about 0.5%, 42,590. As we talked about in the top of the hour update there, you get the dollar catching a little bit of a bid, 99.22 right now, off of the lows of about 98.58 last night. And with dollar strength, we got a little bit of gold weakness, but all things considered, holding up well at 33.79. And yeah, how about silver? Very little weakness in silver at all, right? You accelerate higher from 33 to 35 yesterday and not really giving it back at all, bumping up against this area from April in that silver contract. We jump around to some of the equities, and we got to treat this hour, folks. We got our man Basil Chapman. He's coming up after the first break, 3:15, and then Tim Ord coming up at the bottom of the hour, 3:30. So a couple great segments and guests, and we'll go through the market on this first one. And how about NVIDIA, man? It's not stopping. You're up by almost 3% on NVIDIA. Remarkable. We jump around to the other, no matter where you are, right? AMD, you're up by 1.8% right now. But back to NVIDIA. I was reading this one earlier. And how about it? $1 trillion. And I think it's even more than that. You're at about a 1.25 is the number. But you're talking about a $1 trillion rally, okay? And the animal spirits are back alive again, folks. NVIDIA's market cap, $3.4 trillion now. All right? And you compare that. I mean, you're talking about a number. We were just at barely 2, and I say barely 2. Yeah, $3.45 trillion. You got about 25 billion shares outstanding for this equity. You're talking about a run from 86 to 141. That's $54 per share. Times 24.3 billion. Excuse me. Yeah, you're talking about a number. $1.3 trillion in market cap. Remarkable, man. And it just doesn't stop. And I think about that today, especially if we have $1 trillion in NVIDIA alone, and it doesn't matter where you go, whether you're talking about Microsoft, etc. Excuse me. So NVIDIA is owned by 74% of long-only funds. Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft are the only companies ahead of it, which is the most owned at 91. Yeah, and I've been talking about Microsoft, man. Microsoft is looking like the strongest equity in this market right now. Not keeping up today with NVIDIA, but you talk about where we are. We're within $5. You're within 1% of all-time highs on Microsoft right now at 468. Taking a look at the volume. Microsoft last week, about 86 million shares. That's on a shortened trading week, too. That was decent volume. And we already got about 26 million. Back it up to a daily on Microsoft. Yeah, some strong numbers on Friday. That was the end of the month, so you really got some big numbers on Friday's volume. May 30th, end of the month, end of the week. We do 34.7 million shares on Microsoft, the most since the beginning of May. We'll see how today comes in, because right now we're a little light. See how it comes in, but volume a little light on a day like today from Microsoft. You jump over to NVIDIA. Let's take a look at the volume of NVIDIA. Yeah, some decent numbers on NVIDIA. We've already done 175 million shares on a day like today, up by 3 million. They're going to do some decent shares on NVIDIA right now. All right, we jump around and talking about Microsoft. How about Meta? So Meta, they ink a deal with Constellation Energy. Talked about it on my program today. Constellation, ooh, how about that? I was watching it, but I didn't watch it that closely. Ooh-wee. Talk about a story of buyer beware, man. Imagine that. Can you imagine being an executive in one of these offices, right? You come in, you go, man, this is going to be a great day in the market. Can't wait to tell the market that we just signed a 20-year deal with Meta for a nuclear power plant, and the market says you're worth less today than you were yesterday. Whew. Talk about what's baked into this equity right now, okay? Interesting. Kamiko holds on to the gains, up by 2.7%. So something going on there, man. You know, you take a look at this thing on a longer-term basis. That's a weekly. Let's put it even back. Yeah, we'll have some volume this week, but that could be a volume off the top, depending how we go. We had highs out there at the beginning of the year, 352. And, I mean, you hit 363 in the pre-market. You didn't do it when we opened, but look where we opened, 352. And what did I just say the high was? 352, right? Exactly where we opened. They actually have a technical print. Open of 342. Jeez, look at that. So you're going to see an open, right, on Constellation Energy of 342. But this thing gave up $10 within the last 5 minutes before it opened. So realistically, a few minutes before the opening bell, this was trading literally to the tick of the high from January 23rd. And then they sold the thing down by 15% on the open. Be careful of that equity. That's a warning sign, folks. You know, you get a strong deal like that. Meta is doing a 20-year deal with them for a nuclear reactor that they were probably going to have to wind down. And nonetheless, you give it up, you touch that top. And then especially if you're looking for uranium, Kamiko's a good play. Now, I said it this morning, though. Technically, yeah, you're bumping up against an upper boundary area as well. An area of technical resistance, that area, 62.55. Last week, we hit 62.27, right? Within about a quarter, 25 cents from that level. But, you know, you're looking at those two equities. Kamiko's holding the gains. Constellation gives it up. And you're up 2.6%. And that thing is on quarter on 59.71 right now. Tesla trading up 1.9% right now. We jump over to Google. So Google, I was talking about it this morning. You see the volatility on Google. There's a Barclays analyst last night talking about that if they have to divest Chrome, which is still an outlier risk, but it's more of an outlier risk than it was when the penalty phase, the remedy phase, I think they call it, of their Justice Department trial. That, yeah, you're talking about a potential 25% pullback potentially if that were to happen. It's a tails risk, but boy, 25%. Watch out. All right, folks, stay tuned. I see our man Basil Chapman. He's in the Tiger's Den. He's getting ready to come on. Stay tuned. We'll come back with Basil, folks.